Welcome to the Art of Succession podcast with Barrett Young. Join us as we explore the strategies, stories, and insights that shape the journey of leadership transitions and business success. No matter where you find yourself along the journey, this is the podcast where you'll find the tools to make it happen.
We had to pivot, and we pivoted to installing AI in the company, and that's going very well. And we hope to, scale this company so the owner can sell it. You have to go through these value drivers and evaluate the value drivers to see what the risk is. But most of that is an opinion. And a lot of that is an opinion of different people. The first thing we want to do is an assessment. What is their biggest pain? Where will AI make the biggest impact in their workflows? What aspects of marketing can we use AI to optimize?
Welcome back to part 2 of my discussion with Tom Gledhill, business owner, broker, and author of the Exit Pro System. In part 1 of our discussion, Tom shared his experience founding and scaling a software company and his move into business brokering. If you missed that episode, you can find that video right here. Otherwise, let's get back to our discussion.
So you did the business broker thing for a while, but you've started other businesses since then. So what caused you to shift back into a different line of work?
I had to sell my brokerage.
Okay.
For personal reasons.
Okay.
And,
take some time off, or just too much? The pace was calling 1,000 people a year kind of.
No, I as a broker, I did it for about 15 years.
Okay.
And then I was a caregiver, quite frankly, when I sold my brokerage. I became a caregiver. My wife was ill, and so it lasted. I was a caregiver for 10, 12 years, but at first I had a lot of time. That's when I started writing, actually. So I wrote my 2 books there, and then I developed an online course. And it was all about, what I did was I dug deeper than most valuators do. I went down to the source. I like to get to the source of the problem. And I came up with 16 value drivers, and I categorized these value drivers and developed a course to increase the important value drivers, to increase the business value so they could sell it. So that's basically what I did up until, 3-4 years ago. And I met this other fellow online, and he and I collaborated and got together, and we're doing this Exit Plus together. So that's kind of what I'm doing now, Barrett. I'm not doing brokerage anymore, although I do. Somebody calls me, somebody that I know that I've worked with in the past will call me and wants some information on it. What do I think about certain things? I'll give them, some advice. I'm glad to help them, but I don't take a commission or charge them anything for that.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Sorry about the personal situation. I know that'll definitely rock your world and your plans. Explain to me then the difference between what does a business broker do when they come into a business and they're working with a business owner to sell it, versus what you've built that's different than that here with the Exit Pro system. Explain to me the difference there.
Well, the difference is when I'm helping them sell, they are the owner, and I'm helping them sell to a third party. And the difference is I'm going to be buying. I'm going to be the buyer. So that's the main difference right there.
So you and your new partner here, you're looking for small businesses to acquire, scale, and flip effectively.
We're going to
test this out, and then share a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. The plan is to look for buyers that are typically baby boomers now that are looking to sell, and they're having a hard time selling. So let's say that their company, if they could sell it, would be valued at $1 million, just to use a round number. So we expect, this is a motivated seller now. We expect to buy that at something below 1 million. All right. We are both getting our certificate in artificial intelligence. We've been working on that for about a year. We're actually installing artificial intelligence in a small company right now. The first thing we're going to do is transform this company using AI. All right. We're going to scale it using AI. All right. So we're going to make it effective and efficient using AI. And then we're going to use AI to help with marketing to scale this company. When we buy the company, we are going to train the employees to run the company. We're going to help with the help of the business owner. We're going to choose among the employees, the key employees, a president and key employees to fill key management positions. And we are going to train them and monitor them as we go along. Also, we are going to, with the community. The community is a big part of this now. The community, we're going to sponsor a scholarship to a needy student in the community. We are going to sponsor a Little League baseball team or some other recreational facility. And during the holidays, we're going to feed the needy. So we're going to do this from the company. The company is going to do this within the community. We're also going to provide profit sharing. Now, this is when we get the cash flow up. We're going to provide profit sharing to all of the employees. And when at the end of, and we'll use the business owner. The business owner will be on our board of advisors as we go along.
Okay.
Because what we plan to do here is buy 80% of the company.
Gotcha. That was my next question. It doesn't sound like you're acquiring it outright. It looks like you're coming in as a strategic investor to this business owner to help them get their company
pretty much like a private equity group does.
Yep.
So we'll buy 80%. Now that's negotiable, but we'll go in at 80%. So the business owner will retain 20%. So when we sell the company, when we scale the company, 3 to 5 times, we plan to do that in 3 to 4 years. And we can do that with AI. I know that for a fact. So when we do that, when we get to that point and the key employees are well trained to run the company going forward, then we're going to sell that 80%. We'll sell the whole thing to the key employees.
Oh, okay.
So that's the employee ownership part of this program. They will be the eventual owners of the company. The business owner will be an advisor until we sell, and he'll get the second bite of the apple, which you talk about in private equity. Second bite of the apple may be equivalent to the first bite because of the scaling that we've done. So that's the program.
You might clean up a little bit, but it's a short time frame that you're going to be working with that buyer in order to identify with that seller in order to bring in a buyer for that. You're actually talking about here, this is a little bit more of a longer term play to completely reposition the company and move it from that 80% of small businesses that can't sell to ideally in your plan, a business that doesn't need to sell because the employees now are empowered to be able to buy it.
Yeah, in addition to that, Barrett, also it's a company that's not only surviving but it's thriving.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because it's producing the cash the employees need in order to acquire it that way.
Exactly. That one of the first part of the Exit Plus program was really helping the business owner sell to the employees. And we tried that. Actually, the business that we're working with now, we're employing AI. We tried to do that, but it was so difficult to get funding at that point for the employees, for the key employee, that we had to pivot. And we pivoted to installing AI in the company, and that's going very well. And we hope to scale this company so the owner can sell it.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that was going to be my question. You've got employee ownership, you've got an employee stock pool. When you sell it to the employees, you're looking to sell it to all the employees, or are you looking to sell it to those few positions that have identified and said, no, I want to lead this company?
Yeah, we're thinking right now of selling it to just the key employees because one of there are government programs for bigger companies. You have to really be a $10 million company in revenue, have an EBITDA of at least $1 million for an ESOP or a trust or a co-op. Because you're dealing with all of these employees now, excuse me, and a lot of them come and go. So now you've got the administrative problem of buying and selling the stock back and forth to these people that are coming and going. And then you have to deal with vesting, and it's just too complicated for these smaller companies to do. They can't justify an ESOP. In fact, there are people that install ESOPs that do the administration and all of that, and they won't look at a company that has an EBITDA less than $1 million.
Yeah,
so in an EBITDA,
it's like a great idea, but just too many variables.
Yeah,
and I can suck the cash out of a company if a whole bunch of employees start to see kind of like a run on a bank almost. It's like, oh, well, this person sold and they're out. I'm gonna, for no good reason, I'm gonna follow my feelings here and do the same thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I've read how they work, and they're working. I guess that they're doing pretty well because there are a lot of companies doing ESOPs and trust or co-ops. But I can't imagine a smaller company of 10 to 30 employees doing that.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay. So I go over some of the, not all of them, but go over some of the 16 points that you guys are improving as you're coming into these businesses to increase the valuation and help them be able to sell, if you don't mind.
Sure. I've broken them down into categories: foundation value drivers, the must-have value drivers, the I forget the name of these value drivers. There are 4 of them, and then the big hitter value drivers. Okay, the foundation value drivers are basically the company, and the company is just really the brand and reputation of the company. Okay, the industry they're in is very important, and it's the trend of that industry that's the most important. Is it going down? Is it going up? Or what's the trend of the industry? Then you have the competition, and if there's no competition for your product or service, there's probably no demand for it.
Okay. Bad thing, yeah.
and the other is the product or service itself. Is it a product that's doing well? Is it are you getting referrals for it? And then on the must-have value drivers, there are 2 value drivers that are absolutely critical for a successful company. The first one is the employees. All right, well-trained employees. And the second are systems that you have in that company. Okay, those 2. If you can maximize those 2, you're a long way to increasing the value of your company. All right. Then you have a couple, especially you have cash flow, obviously. Okay. But cash flow is really a result of all of the other things you have with the company, right? That's part of your report card. And then you have growth. Now, for a company, for instance, for most companies that are going to buy that company, for instance, a private equity group, a financial buyer, they are looking for growth, but not potential growth. A corporation might be just looking for potential growth. Okay, but so growth is another value driver. That's one of the must-have.
A financial buyer wants proven growth, not
yes,
potential growth.
Yes.
Yep.
A corporation may say, "Hey, there's a lot of growth here, and we can make
You
that
guys
happen."
are just terrible at tapping into it, but once we plug you into our system.
Exactly. But the third category, personnel. I'm sorry, customer base. Customer base. And the problem there that I've found is that a lot of people don't have diverse customer bases. They'll have half a dozen people that represent 90% of their revenue, and that's a serious problem that really decreases the value of a business. Okay, then you have suppliers. Having a good relationship with your suppliers. Having certainly at least one backup for your suppliers. Your lease. You know, when I first got into the business, what the hell has lease got to do with value? Well, it's got a lot to do with value because I have been at the closing table when deals have gone south because of a lease. So you've got to have a good relationship with the landlord. You've got to have a transferable lease. So
Yeah.
a lease is important. Now,
This is our chance to get out of something long term and double the price, right?
Yeah.
When you're ready to buy the company.
If you're the landlord, yeah. The big hit of value drivers, number one, is scalability. All right. Now you have to have an effective and efficient company before you even start scaling. All right. And then you've got recurring revenues. Okay. And then you've got bankability because the business owner, the business buyer that's coming in to buy the company is going to use the bankability of your company to buy the company.
Bankability means the ability to prove itself for a loan.
Yes.
Okay.
Gotcha. Okay. If you got a lot of debt, you're not bankable. You're not bankable. Yeah. You don't have good bankability. And the last is what's the word I'm looking for here? Special patents.
Oh yeah.
Intellectual property. Intellectual property. That's the fourth one. Now, it doesn't have to be a product or a service. It can be a transaction. It can be something unique that you do with that company, but it has to be documented. Okay. So those are the value drivers that I came up with after my research and analyzing small businesses. And I was looking at small business. I wasn't looking at businesses that were 10 million and up. I was looking at the small ones. What are the value drivers that are critical to these small companies so they can sell?
So I got two questions, and they both could be rather deep or rather complicated. How do you measure some of these value drivers? Because some of them can be pretty not ambiguous, but just a feeling. like key employees, like are they well trained? How do you grade some of these value drivers?
That's a great question. It's a lot of it is really talking to people, the business owner, talking to some of the employees, right? Looking at the systems. I mean, fortunately, I'm a systems person. I'm an engineer. I'm a systems person. I can evaluate their systems. Talking to the business owner, the report cards, the cash flow, their financial presentation. That's one I forgot. If their finances aren't readily available, that sends a red flag up. Okay, they have to be readily, and I would say a good 50% of the people that I have talked to, business owners, didn't have a financial. They had to get it from their accountant. Okay, which took God knows how long. And there you've got a potential buyer out there waiting to look at these financials. So the having financials that are readily available, that are in the proper format, okay, into a standard accounting format. And I've seen people, they have financials, they have them on an Excel spreadsheet. All right. They probably tell this person more about their company than an outsider, would get from it. But the outsider's not going to understand it, and he's not going to pay much attention to it. He's going to walk away.
Yeah.
All right. He's just going to walk away from it.
Yeah.
So
I know. Sorry. Go ahead.
The recurring revenues, you can. They're not obvious. They're you can see them. So recurring revenues, bankability. Well, you can see that balance sheet. All right. IP. You just don't know what they've got. You have to talk to they might have something that he's not even aware of that is very unique, to his company, his or her company.
Yeah, I think that's the answer. Is a lot of this is just from conversations, and you've got to let a broker, you've got to let someone like you come in and talk to your employees, talk to your customers, ask the tough questions like, why do you keep coming back to me when there are other options out there? Like, what do we do really well? A lot of those conversations that business owners don't want to have, like even asking your employees, why do you stay here? Why, what keeps you coming back on a regular basis? Because we look at the solids, the stuff that we can put a number to, like cash flow or revenue, but that has so many different inputs that are harder or fuzzier to track down. And so it's easy to go to the concrete things that we can measure.
So a lot of them are fairly solid, but a lot are not. But if you look at the basic valuation equation, it's a multiplier times cash flow, right? The multiplier is risk. The multiplier is the inverse of risk, because risk is a percentage. So you take the inverse of that becomes a multiplier, because it's easier to multiply than it is to divide. That's why that came up. But the risk is you have to go through these value drivers and evaluate the value drivers to see what the risk is. All right. But most of that is an opinion. A lot of that is an opinion of different people. So you're right. There's a chunk of that is really just is a little unclear. So it's not a number,
So how do you take a business owner who thinks their company is worth $1 million? You're going to buy a portion of it for less than that and come alongside them and convince them that in 4 to 5 years, it'll be worth more than $1 million. How do you do that? If this is the problem with business owners, is they hear something like that risk multiplier is an opinion, and then they would just write off the valuation of their business, a realistic valuation of their business, and be like, well, that analyst's opinion is wrong. I know it's worth more than this. How do you get them? Because you've got to break the bad news to them at the beginning to get them to partner alongside you to grow the company to a multiple in the future. How do you do that?
Well, we're looking for people. That's a good question. We're looking for people that are motivated sellers. We're looking for people that have already found out that they can't sell their company. Okay, so they're motivated.
It's been on the market for a long time, and everybody's walked away already. So
we'll see that, and they don't advertise that.
Mm-hmm.
That's why
there's no days on market on Zillow or anything like that for small businesses.
Well,
five deals fell through in the past year.
Yeah,
so that's why it's still here.
Yeah, so we have to go out to them. We have to make them aware of it so that they call us. That's why the book, I want to launch the book and promote the book. I want to, give presentations to associations, chambers of commerce. If they, a community is really hurt when a thriving business goes out of business. So the chambers of commerce should be very interested in keeping those businesses going. And the marketing of this is quite different than knocking on doors. You can't go around knocking on doors for this. We have to go after, we have to go through it to the media. I intend to do a press release on this. So, whatever I can think of to get the plan out there, the program out there to these people, these business owners, they cannot sell their companies to motivated sellers.
My second question was just, what's what is the role of AI in this, or what do you guys see specifically as bringing in and installing AI within the business?
We got to start out employing AI very, very simply, because you've got to work with the employee. You don't want to scale the employees off. You want to work with them. You want to convince them that this AI is here to help you, not to take your job. So if we can scale the company, using AI and proper marketing, scale the company, have the graph of revenue going up and the cost graph being going up at a very much smaller rate, then it's that gap that is the increase in revenue and the increase in value. Okay.
Gotcha.
For any small company, the first thing we want to do is an assessment. What is their biggest pain? Where will AI make the biggest impact in their workflows? And also, what aspects of marketing can we use AI to optimize? So those are the two things that we'll work on. One, to keep the cost as we scale. Because if we can scale without having any increase in cost, every increase in revenue is an increase in value.
Tom, was there anything else before we jump into the lightning round that I didn't ask, or that you wanted to cover?
I think you asked some good questions, Barrett. You obviously know small business and the problems with buying and selling. So I think we covered just about everything I can think of right now.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. So we're going to jump into the lightning round, and then we'll get you to let people know where they can go to read your books and read more about the program that you guys are developing right now. So, are you ready for the lightning round?
I am.
Okay. Coffee or tea, and how do you like it?
Coffee early in the morning, black. Late morning, tea, green tea.
Pie or cake, and do you have a specific kind?
Don't eat either one of them. I'm on a plant-based diet.
All right. All right. What is a common belief among entrepreneurs that you would want to challenge?
That they can't do it.
Can't do what?
Anything. Whatever idea they have. If it's a good idea, they've done their market research and they're reluctant to do it because they're afraid, do it. Just do it.
Yep. That limiting belief kind of thing. So, all right. Do you have a favorite holiday, and why?
I think Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday because my whole family, and we have about 20 members of my nuclear family, and we get together on Thanksgiving. We rent a place at a restaurant. We rent a room, and we get together. It's great. We're all together. So yeah, Thanksgiving would be my favorite.
Of my guess, that's the biggest one. So
yeah,
it's my favorite too. So, are you a morning person or a night person? And do you have a favorite routine?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm neither. I go to bed about 11 and I get up at 7, typically. When I need to get up earlier, I do. And I do have a bit of a morning thing. If I have time, I meditate. Try to meditate for about half an hour.
Okay. Are you specifically, 11 to 7, are you specifically like shooting for 8 hours minimum sleep for
yes.
health reasons also?
Yes.
I've imagined as much. Awesome. Good to hear it. What is one thing that you want your successors in any endeavor that you take? What's one thing you want your successors to say about you?
That I enjoyed helping other people.
Well, you've helped me a lot today. This has been a great conversation. Where are you finding creativity right now?
I think with AI, where to use it and what are the main problems with AI and we can get into that a little later. There is a main problem I'm focusing on right now with AI, and I've used a bit of creativity to come up with a lead magnet that that embraces that problem.
That leads into the next question. What do you have coming up this next year that's got you really excited?
Oh, wow. Buying companies, buying, transforming, training, and just helping everybody involved with that company. As I said before, everybody wins. I win, the business owner wins, the employees win, the community wins.
Literally adding value all throughout that company.
Yes.
In that role. So, okay, very good. Well, Tom, where can more people go to find out information about you?
Well, they can go to my website, which is exitpros.com. That's XITPROS.com. And they can navigate to my media site, to my toolkit, to my report.
Well, thank you very much, Tom. I've appreciated the conversation. It's great to talk to another valuator out there and just gain from your experience and the deals that you've done. So this has been a wonderful conversation. I appreciate you being on the Art of Succession.
Well, thank you very much, Barrett. You asked great questions, by the way. You really dug beneath the surface, and
thank you very much.
And I love that. So
I love interviewing. It's one of the most fun things I can do. So
yeah,
thank you so
much. You're very good at it.
I want to thank Tom for leading the discussion here on the value of small businesses, and especially that hole that they can leave in a community when they fail to continue on to the next generation. We have interviews twice a month with business owners just like Tom here on the Art of Succession. And if you are interested in being a guest, you can find the link for that down in the description below. If this episode has been valuable to you, I'd ask you to please share it with others. And I want to thank you for watching the Art of Succession.